Hi there and welcome to the channel of A Disappointed Man with me, Jason Kennedy, the Disappointed Man. And in this video I'll be talking about this book, The Lover by Marguerite Duras from 1984. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing her name very well. Let's begin with some biographical information germane to the work itself. Marguerite Duras was born in 1914 in what was then Hanoi in French Indochina and what is now Saigon in Vietnam. Both her parents were teachers and there were two sons from previous marriages. In 1921, Marguerite's father died and the family returned to France for 2 years before heading back to Indochina, where her mother made a poor investment in some land, wrecking the family finances. In the last 2 years of Marguerite's time in Indochina, she began, while still a minor, an intense love affair with an older, wealthy Chinese man, and The Lover is the last in a series of 4 works that center on this relationship. Now, not only can I not give a summary of this novel, it would be wrong of me to attempt to do so. It would go against the wishes of the author themselves because, as they make clear near the beginning of this novel, the story of my life doesn't exist, does not exist. There's never any center to it, no path, no line. There are great spaces where you pretend there used to be someone, but it's not true. There was no one. The story of one small part of my youth I've already written, more or less. I mean enough to give a glimpse of it. Of this part I mean the part about the crossing of the river. What I'm doing now is both different and the same. Before I spoke of clear periods, those on which the light fell. Now I'm talking about the hidden stretches of that same youth, of certain facts, feelings, events that I buried. What Duras does is devise her own form. For The Lover, this novel has no chapters. It's divided into short sections, none of which exceeds a few pages in length, and in time it ranges freely from when she was a child to her adult life, to her career as a writer, all the way up to the moment at which Duras is writing the text of The Lover itself. It sounds extremely complex, but what makes it work is that she very clearly labels at what point we are in her story, and she centers the story upon the opening image she provides, which she describes in this way. I often think of the image only I can see now and of which I've never spoken. It's always there in the same silence. Amazing. It's the only image of myself I like, the only one in which I recognize myself, in which I delight. And on the next page she explains a little more about this image. So I'm 15 and a half. It's on a ferry crossing the Mekong River. The image lasts all the way across. I'm 15 and a half. There are no seasons in that part of the world. We have just the one season, hot, monotonous. We're in the long, hot girdle of the earth with no spring, no renewal. Now, not only does Duras return to the image and elaborate upon it in an explicit way, but all of the other sections kind of refer back to it. They enrich the meaning of this image, and also we can locate them. Did they occur before the ferry crossing or afterwards? So, despite the sections not being arranged chronologically, we, the reader, begin constructing our own tentative timeline, and what each section then does, whether it discusses family life or the school life or the affair with the Chinese man, is extend or revise what we've already read. So our picture of the relationships at work, of the nature of the events that are being presented to us, is constantly shifting in a really ingenious and rich way. And I'll just give an example of this in terms of the treatment of the relationship with the Chinese man. Now, when we're first presented with the image of the girl on the ferry, great attention is paid to her attire. The girl's extremely pleased with her gold shoes and her new hat, and we're taken back through the process of purchasing these items in the company of her mother. And when the ferry reaches the other side of the Mekong and the girl meets the man in the black limousine for the first time, we kind of have an understanding that this is a chance meeting, and the decision to drive off with him is a spur of the moment one. However, much later in the novel, after we've learned all the details of the affair with the Chinese man, there is a section that completely revises our understanding of this and transforms what this image means. I won't spoil it for you, but it's so wonderfully done. There's an absolute shock there of, oh my goodness, this is a very different story to the one I thought I was reading. That is one of the pleasures of how this text is composed. Now, another strength of the way this novel is organized is the way the sections detailing the love affair with the Chinese man are hermetically sealed from the other characters. They cannot see what is going on inside that apartment between this girl and this man. They can only speculate. And it's very interesting the way the racist attitudes and the kind of base interpretations of what is going on work as a kind of screen for the girl and the man to hide the truth that they and we are privy to. And I'm sure this explains a lot of the success of this novel, because the one thing that all the other characters will not entertain is that there is anything real, there is any true love between this girl and this man, and we know that is not the case. At the center of this novel, in secret, is this beautiful relationship, and actually all of the ugliness, all of the pain, all of the violence is outside in that world beyond the apartment walls, particularly in the awful family environment that the girl is always seeking to escape from. Having mentioned the racial aspects, I'll just touch on those finally. It's really interesting the way it's presented. While it seems that everyone condemns this relationship, everyone is also working to facilitate it because it's in their interests. So the mother is happy to see her daughter with a diamond ring on her finger. Her brothers are thrilled to go and dine at the Chinese man's expense in the best restaurants, even though they blank him while doing so. And the owner of the school where the girl is supposed to be sleeping at night agrees to turn a blind eye to her nocturnal adventures because it's in the school's interest to have white students. Helps them attract more business. So this part is really well represented. There is no one in this colonial society who really has any right to pass judgment on what the girl and the Chinese man are choosing to do with their lives. I think I've said enough by now. You should be getting the idea. I was truly blown away by how good this novel was, and when I finished it, I was ready to simply return to the start and read it through for a second time, because just as the novel's procedure is to engage in constant retellings, this novel is made for constant rereadings, and I'm only giving my immediate reaction to it today. I finished it yesterday, but it's certainly a book I'll be coming back to and thinking more about, because it's exceedingly complex and it's beautifully crafted. So there we have it. I'm going to leave you now, but before I depart, my mantra, of course: be safe, be strong, and until the next time, Nanu Nanu.